We're going to continue our discussion on bullying, and joining me now is Venise Grossmann. She's a high school teacher. She was bullied as a kid, and now she's sharing her story with her students and trying to help them deal with bullying. Brian Milson is a singer who was bullied as a teen. He's got a new song with an anti-bully message that he's going to be playing and singing with all of us here in a little while. And John Halligan, his son Ryan, committed suicide in 2003 at the age of 13. That was after years of being bullied in person as well as online. And John, let me start with you. You just saw this powerful story of Shay. I mean, what a moving story this is. When you see that, do you wonder that if Ryan, your son, had had the support that Shay is now getting from her classmates and her friends, would his life have turned out differently?
Absolutely. You know, unfortunately, Facebook wasn't around when this happened to my son. So I think, you know, this is the positive use of social media. And what her mom did for her was wonderful. And clearly, Shay's a beautiful girl. So I think it's about jealousy, whoever's bullying this young lady, because she's just a beautiful girl. It's heartbreaking.
It really is. And my heart goes out to you, because the chapter in your life, it didn't end quite like that. Brian, let me ask you this, because I know from the time you were like 12, you were the object of some intense bullying, some online things from a chat room. What did it do to you, your self-esteem, when kids just went after you?
It's just, being 12 years old, you're coming into middle school, and you're starting to kind of try to find your way and kind of come out of, or be in your own element. And when something like that happens at such an early time, it's detrimental to you. It's hard to describe, because you feel like you're all alone. Because especially when the rumor spreads around the whole school the way it did, you just feel like you're all alone. Even your friends you feel like your friends are laughing at you behind your back, and it's hard to dig your way out of it.
Did you ever think about even taking your life like Ryan did?
I never did. I never did. It never got to that point, I guess. You know, because it was back before, you know, Facebook, and it was just more of the chat rooms and just, you know, face to face stuff, and it never drove me that far, and you know, it's very unfortunate.
Venise, and now as a teacher, you tell your students what you went through, because it's a way to help them learn not only the course of journalism that you teach, but to teach them something about life. When you experienced it, some people told you, fight back, just go back and give them everything you got. That's not your message. What do you tell the kids in your school who experience bullying?
Well, my students are shocked to hear that when I was struck in the face, that I didn't retaliate. And my feelings are that there's so many instances in the schools where we can retaliate in a violent way, but what are our schools going to be like if we do that? And basically, all that's proving is who is the stronger person. It's not getting to the root of the problem. And what we need to do is start teaching our kids kindness and learning tolerance.
But if a kid is bullied at school, what do they do? I mean, if they don't strike back, do they tell their parents? Do they tell a police officer? What would you recommend to students that would be a way that doesn't get them in more trouble and make the bullying worse?
Exactly, because that was a concern of mine. I was afraid to tell someone. I addressed it in my own way, and that approach worked for me, but it's not going to work for everyone. I think they need to tell an adult. They need to know that we're there and we care, and that there are policies in place to address it. But I also think the bystanders need to step up to the plate. In schools, it's something like 67% of people are either bullied, a victim, or a bystander. So everyone's touched by this. Most kids are afraid, though, to say something.
John, what would you say to other parents? I mean, you've had 10 years to reflect on it since Ryan's death. As you try to work through this, and I'm sure you had a lot of time to think, if you could relive it, but if you could share with other parents, what's the advice?
Well, one advice is the mistake that we made is we did not go into the school because he did not want us to, because he was afraid that we were going to make it worse. And you know, so I have to be fair to Ryan's school. I can't blame them completely because we didn't go in. And what we should have done is we should have went in, sat down, and said, "Look, my son's being bullied, but he's afraid that there's going to be retaliation. So how do we address the problem without that effect?" I think there are much more thoughtful ways that are coming to the surface now. Schools are getting better at this. They used to do something called conflict resolution, where they bring the two into the office for a fake apology session. But they're being much more thoughtful now. You know, you need to isolate the two, and you need to address the behavior problem. But as Venise was saying, you also need to go after the bystanders. And to me, there are three types of bystanders: the ones who are friends of the victim, the ones who are somewhere in between, and the ones who are friends of the bully. And we need to go after that group, the ones that are friends with the bully, because they're in a position of power. They have the most influence over their friend to get them to stop. Because at this age, kids listen to kids much more quickly than they listen to adults. And if we get those bystanders to step up to their friend, I think we'll make a lot of progress with this problem.
I think that's a great, great suggestion. And then the key that I hear from all of you, and I couldn't concur more, is that it is incumbent upon parents to say to their children, not only should you not be a bully, but if you see it, you have to step in. That's part of what it is to be a responsible young person, a responsible citizen.
Right.
Brian, we're going to get to see you a little later when you preview your song for us. Venise, John, thank you so very much. I appreciate your candor in being with us today.